We are studying the life of the great prophet Elijah, and we have studied already that he comes out of nowhere and he proclaims a drought on Israel in front of King Ahab in the book of 1 Kings chapter 17 and verse 1. And what does verse 2 say? So 1 Kings chapter 17 verse 2 says, "Then the word of the Lord came to him saying," What? What does verse 2 say? It says, "Then the word of the Lord came to him saying," what does this imply? This implies that Elijah had no idea what the next step is going to be. I mean, he's going to do such a courageous thing. He's going to do such a dangerous thing. He's going to do such a difficult thing without knowing what the next step is going to be. It's not like God has already spoken to him saying, "Hey, Elijah, I don't worry about it. I know I'm giving you a difficult task, but don't worry about it. I'm going to send you to Kerith after that, and then I'm going to send you to Zarephath, and then you're going to go to Mount Carmel, then you're going to call down fire from heaven, and you're going to do so many miracles. Your life is going to be so supernatural. It's going to be so amazing. So don't worry about it. Just go and do it." I mean, he had no idea what the next step is going to be. Yet he was a man of faith. Yet he was a man of courage. Yet he was a man of God who was willing to put his life on line for God and take the first step, not knowing what next step is going to be. He had that faith saying that God is going to take care of me. And even if God does not take care of me, and even if I die, this is what God has told me to do, so I am going to do it. Brothers and sisters, it's possible that we are not living our life to the fullest. We are not living our life to the full potential that we can live. We are not living a victorious life. We are not living a life full of joy. We are living a life of unsatisfaction because we are not willing to take the first step. And why are we not willing to take the first step? Because God has not explained the whole plan to us. God has not explained what the next step is going to be, and the step after that, and the step after that. And because we have those insecurities within us, because we have that vulnerability within us, because we do not take any step, we do not take any action, we do not take any decision without knowing the whole plan. And God, if you don't tell me the whole plan, I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to move. I'm going to sit in my chair. I'm going to sit in one place. I'm going to sit in one place in life, or I'm going to be in one place in life, one job, one business, everything the same, because I do not have that courage to take the first step what you had told me to do, because simply I don't know what the next step is going to be. Brothers and sisters, many a times there is fear in our life, and we are operating from a place of insecurity. But brothers and sisters, we can never ever have security from this world, from the material things. The only security we can have is the edict, is the command, is the thing that the Lord has told us to do. And if we are going in the Lord's ways, then we do not need to worry. And what does verse 3 say? So 1 Kings chapter 17 verse 3 says, "Get away from here and turn eastward and hide by the brook Kerith which flows into the Jordan." So brothers and sisters, what is God telling Elijah? God is telling Elijah, this place is not for you. This place is the worldly place, and God is telling you and me that the world is not for us. We have to change our direction. And which direction is God telling Elijah to go into? He is telling him to turn eastward, and the direction east has a significance in the Bible. It would signify the direction of God. And as an example, we can see that when Adam and Eve were cast out from the Garden of Eden, they were cast away from the direction of east. And significantly, when Jesus is going to come the second time, he is going to come from the direction of east. So brothers and sisters, God is telling you and me to go in the direction of east, the direction of God. And it might not be a direction, or it might not be a place of our liking. Obviously, we see that when God is sending Elijah, he could have sent him to the river Jordan, where there was much water and much provision. Yet he sent him to the brook, and we will see the significance of this in the next video. But in this video, I want to focus on the word God told him. go and hide by the brook Kerith. Hide by the brook Kerith by yourself. Most probably with some ravens and with some other animals, but no other human being. You have to spend some time in solitude with me before you can go and do the amazing and the miraculous things that I have called you to do. And that is what God is calling us to do as well. Before he can prepare Elijah to do the great things, he needs to spend a significant time in solitude with God, and that is what God is calling us to do as well. And in this video, the message that we are learning and the message that we have to emphasize on is spending time alone with the Lord. And I myself am guilty of not doing it as often as I should. And through this video, I am not preaching, I am learning myself. And I have to apply this myself. If we cannot spend a significant time in solitude with the Lord, we must take some time of our day. And the best time would be the first time when we wake up, and we have to get into this habit. Maybe spend 10 minutes with the Lord, maybe spend 15 minutes with the Lord, 20 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour, whatever you can afford. You have to spend with the Lord, and I have to get into that habit as well. You see, this is where the power of this man came from. Spending time alone with the Lord. And significantly, this is where the power of Jesus also came from. Brothers and sisters, when we study the life of Jesus after he was rejected from Nazareth by his own people, and after he heard a very bad news that his cousin John the Baptist has been beheaded, he wanted to go and spend some time in solitude. The Gospel of Matthew chapter 14 talks about the beheading of John the Baptist, and after the beheading, the disciples of John the Baptist came and they took his body without his head and they were burying the body, and then they went and told Jesus, and their hearts were filled with grief and pain and anguish. And when Jesus heard this, in verse number 13 it says, when Jesus heard it, he went by boat to a deserted place by himself. He wanted to spend some time in solitude. He wanted to spend some time with the Father because he has heard the worst news till now, and his heart is so much in pain that he cannot bear it, and he needs to spend some time by himself and spend some time in loneliness. But what happens is that multitudes are following him, and it says that when Jesus saw the multitudes, he had compassion on them. He preached to them, he fed them, he healed their sick. And verse 22 says that immediately afterward, after doing the duty, after doing the things that the Father has told him to do, he told the disciples to get into the boat and he will meet them on the other side, and he himself sends the multitude away. And verse 23 says, and when he had sent the multitudes away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray. Now when the evening came, he was alone there. Brothers and sisters, this is the power of Jesus. It's not by himself, but by spending time with the Father in solitude. And this is the power of Elijah as well. And God is told Elijah, before you are going to do the great things that I have called you to do, hide by the brook. And this is what God is calling you and me to do as well. To spend some time before we can achieve the greatness, before we can do the great things that God has called us to do. We need to spend time in solitude with the Lord so he can direct us, he can redirect us, he can instruct us, and he can speak clearly to you and to me. And in this world full of noise, we will not be able to hear his voice until we spend some quiet time with the Lord. May the Lord bless you, and I will see you in the next video when we look into the significance of the brook Kerith a little bit more.